Listen carefully. Your life is not first decided by your talents, your education, or even your opportunities. Your life is decided by what you do before the world begins to speak to you. The morning is not just the beginning of a day, it is the foundation of destiny. Many people are fighting battles in the afternoon that were lost in the morning. Many are praying at night for results that should have been prepared at dawn. Understand this truth. How you start determines how far you go. The morning is the most vulnerable time of the human spirit. It is the hour when your soul is unguarded, when your mind is empty, when your heart is impressionable. Whatever first occupies you in the morning gains authority over your day. That is why some people wake up and immediately submit their minds to fear, social media, noise, and pressure. By the time they begin their work, their strength is already drained, their peace is already stolen. Their focus is already scattered. You cannot win a day you did not prepare for. There is a mystery about the early hours. The morning carries fresh mercy, fresh clarity, and fresh instruction, but only the disciplined will access it. Only those who understand that destiny rewards intentionality. If you wake up late, you live reactively, but if you wake up early, you live authoritatively. The morning is when you decide who controls your emotions, who influences your thoughts, and what direction your energy flows. Hear this: before people talk to you, you must talk to your soul. Before demands come, direction must be established. Before activity begins, alignment must take place. A distracted morning produces a defeated day. A hurried morning produces a confused life, but a structured morning produces dominion. Great men and women do not wake up randomly. They wake up with intention. They wake up with vision. They wake up knowing that time is not neutral. It either works for you or against you. Your morning is the only time when the whole day is still in your hands. Once it passes, you begin to lose control. This is why silence in the morning is powerful. This is why reflection in the morning is dangerous to mediocrity. This is why discipline in the morning separates achievers from dreamers. Do not rush into the day without order. Do not enter the battlefield without strategy. Do not submit your spirit to chaos and expect excellence. If you cannot control your morning, the day will control you. If you cannot command your first hour, you will struggle to command your future. The difference between people who rise and people who repeat cycles is simple. They guard their mornings differently. Your morning decides your productivity. Your morning decides your mindset. Your morning decides your spiritual sensitivity. Your morning decides your outcomes. Change your mornings, and you will not recognize your life in a few months. Do not wait for motivation, create structure. Do not wait for energy, create discipline. Do not wait for direction, create alignment. Because when the morning is intentional, the day is productive, the weeks are progressive, and the years are impactful. Remember this and never forget it. Your morning decides everything. Whatever controls your morning will eventually control your life, because the first moments after waking are the moments when your soul is most open, most undefended, and most honest. In the morning, your heart has not yet learned how to pretend. Your mind has not yet built its walls, and your spirit has not yet been crowded by the voices of the day. What you allow into that sacred space does not come as a visitor, it comes as a ruler. The morning does not argue with you, it absorbs you, and whatever it absorbs becomes the tone of your decisions, the posture of your emotions, and the direction of your strength. The mistake many people make is thinking that mornings are neutral, that you can wake up anyhow and later correct the damage with effort. But life does not work like that. The morning is a seed, and seeds do not negotiate with harvests. Once planted, they grow according to their kind. Fear planted early becomes anxiety by noon. Distraction planted early becomes confusion by evening. Disorder planted early becomes exhaustion before nightfall. You cannot live deliberately when your day was started accidentally. In the morning, the mind is like soft clay. Whatever presses into it leaves an impression that hardens with time. If the first thing you encounter is pressure, your day bends under pressure. If the first thing you encounter is noise, your day becomes noisy. If the first thing you encounter is clarity, your day begins to align itself around that clarity. This is why two people can have the same job, the same environment, the same challenges, yet experience completely different outcomes. One surrendered their morning, the other commanded it. Control is subtle. It does not always come as force. Sometimes it comes as habit. You may think you are choosing what you do in the morning, but over time, what you do in the morning begins to choose who you become. A life is rarely destroyed by one big mistake. It is slowly shaped by repeated small submissions. Each morning you submit your attention to something, you hand it a piece of your authority. Over days it becomes influence, over months it becomes control, over years it becomes identity. The morning sets the rhythm of the inner man. If your morning is rushed, your spirit learns impatience. If your morning is careless, your soul learns disorder. If your morning is intentional, your inner man learns leadership. Long before circumstances obey you, your inner world must learn to obey you. And the morning is where that training happens, not in moments of crisis, not in seasons of pressure, but in the quiet hours when no one is watching and nothing is demanding. Many people say they are controlled by their environment, by their responsibilities, by their past, by their emotions, but often the truth is simpler. They are controlled by what they look at first, what they listen to first, what they think about first. These first things are not innocent. They form agreements with your mind. They frame your expectations. They decide whether you will react or respond, whether you will drift or direct. A day does not overpower you suddenly. It conquers you gradually. It starts by taking your attention, then your emotions, then your energy, then your confidence. By the time evening comes, you are tired, not because the day was heavy, but because the morning handed the day permission. When you lose the morning, you spend the rest of the day trying to recover authority that was already surrendered. Those who live intentionally understand that mornings are gates. Whoever stands at the gate decides what enters the city. If you allow confusion at the gate, confusion will roam freely. If you allow discipline at the gate, discipline will patrol your thoughts. If you allow vision at the gate, distractions struggle to find access. Control begins at the gate, not in the streets, and the morning is that gate. This is why transformation does not begin with dramatic changes. It begins with quiet decisions made early. Not everyone who wins life is more talented, more educated, or more connected. Many simply refused to give their mornings away. They understood that power is preserved before it is displayed. They learned to settle their minds before engaging the world. They learned to define their day before the day tried to define them. Your morning teaches your life how to treat you. If you treat your morning casually, your life responds casually. If you treat your morning with honor, your life begins to honor you back. Results do not come from wishing for better days. They come from building better beginnings. Authority is not loud, it is consistent, and consistency is born in the small, repeated disciplines of early hours. Every morning you wake up, something is asking for permission to lead you. It may be urgency, it may be fear, it may be pleasure, it may be purpose. But something is always waiting. Silence does not mean neutrality. It simply means the loudest voice will win. If you do not choose intentionally, you still choose just without awareness. Life rarely changes at once. It shifts gradually, following the direction set again and again in the morning. The patterns you repeat before the sun fully rises eventually become the patterns that define your character, and character over time becomes destiny. The tragedy of many lives is not lack of opportunity, but lack of governance in the early hours, lack of structure when the mind is fresh, lack of leadership over the self before attempting to lead outcomes, situations, and people. When the morning is owned, the day begins to align. When the morning is surrendered, the day begins to resist. Control does not start when problems appear. It starts when peace is available. The person who waits for pressure to become disciplined will always be late. Discipline must come before demand, order before activity, intentionality before engagement. Your life moves in the direction of what consistently takes your mornings, not what you admire occasionally, not what you talk about publicly, but what quietly receives your first attention. Over time, that thing becomes your compass, your energy source, your emotional anchor, shaping how you interpret events, how you respond to challenges, how you measure success, how you define rest, how you understand progress, how you view yourself, how you relate to others, how you endure delay, how you handle failure, how you approach growth, how you imagine the future, how you carry responsibility, how you interpret pressure, how you respond to silence, how you use time, how you invest focus, how you assign value, how you perceive opportunity, how you build confidence, how you process disappointment, how you sustain momentum, how you form habits, how you break cycles, how you maintain consistency, how you recover from setbacks, how you guard your mind, how you steward energy, how you protect clarity, how you remain aligned, how you live each day without realizing that direction was decided quietly, faithfully, persistently in the moments just after waking, when whatever controlled your morning slowly learned how to control your life. Discipline in the early hours creates authority for the entire day because authority is never accidental. It is cultivated before it is exercised. The morning is the training ground of leadership, the quiet classroom where the soul learns how to stand firm before pressure arrives. When the day begins, it does not ask whether you are ready. It only responds to who is in charge. Discipline in the early hours establishes that charge long before decisions are demanded and challenges appear. Authority is often misunderstood as force, confidence, or dominance, but true authority is alignment. It is the ability to remain stable while everything else moves. That stability is not built in moments of urgency, it is built in moments of stillness. The early hours offer a rare opportunity when the world has not yet made its requests, when distractions are fewer, when the mind is clearer, and when the will can be trained without resistance. Discipline at this time teaches the inner man how to lead rather than react. When you rise early with intention, you are making a statement to your own mind that you are not a servant to impulse. You are declaring that comfort does not command you and that delay does not control you. Every disciplined decision made in the morning strengthens the muscle of self-governance. Over time, that governance becomes visible as confidence, clarity, and composure throughout the day. A person who lacks morning discipline spends the day negotiating with emotions. They argue with fatigue, bargain with distraction, and struggle with focus. But a person who has already practiced discipline before the day begins walks into responsibility with a settled spirit. They are not trying to find control, they are expressing control that was already established. The day feels lighter not because it is easier, but because authority has already been installed. Discipline early in the day orders your inner world. It teaches your thoughts where to stand and your emotions where to sit. Without discipline, emotions rise uninvited and thoughts wander unchecked. With discipline, the mind learns boundaries and emotions learn submission. This inner order becomes outer authority. People trust you more, decisions flow more easily, and pressure loses its ability to destabilize you. The early hours are where excuses are confronted honestly. Later in the day, there are legitimate reasons for delay and compromise, but in the morning, excuses are exposed for what they are. Choosing discipline at that time is choosing truth over comfort. It is choosing growth over convenience. That choice, repeated daily, shapes a character that carries authority naturally, without noise or aggression. Authority is the reward of consistency. One disciplined morning does not transform a life, but disciplined mornings over time build a foundation that does not crack under weight. The authority you see in composed leaders, focused individuals, and impactful people is often the echo of private discipline practiced when no one was watching. Their calm is not a personality trait, it is a habit formed early. When discipline governs your mornings, your decisions become proactive instead of reactive. You begin the day already ahead, not rushing to catch up. This sense of being ahead gives you space to think, to listen, and to respond wisely. Authority grows wherever there is margin. Chaos eliminates margin, but discipline restores it. The early hours create that margin before the day tries to consume it. Many people try to assert authority through words, titles, or recognition, but authority does not respond to labels. It responds to order, And order begins with how you handle time when you have the most control over it. The morning is the only part of the day that truly belongs to you. Once it passes, demands increase and choices narrow. Discipline in that window is stewardship, and stewardship produces trust, both internally and externally. When your morning is disciplined, your priorities become clear. You stop confusing urgency with importance. You stop mistaking activity for progress. Discipline trains you to move with purpose rather than speed. That purpose becomes evident in how you speak, how you listen, and how you decide. People feel it when someone is not hurried internally. That inner stillness is authority. The absence of discipline creates vulnerability. Without early discipline, the day dictates your mood. One message can ruin your focus. One delay can drain your energy. One problem can hijack your emotions. But when discipline has already anchored you, these things lose their power. You still feel pressure, but it does not control you. You still face challenges, but they do not redefine you. Discipline in the early hours also builds integrity. It aligns what you say you want with what you are willing to do. Dreams without discipline are fantasies. Vision without discipline is frustration. Authority comes when your actions quietly agree with your intentions. That agreement is easiest to form when distractions are minimal and the mind is clear, which is why the early hours are so decisive. Over time, disciplined mornings sharpen discernment. You begin to notice what matters and what does not. You waste less energy on trivial concerns because your mind has been trained to focus. This focus gives you authority in conversations, authority in planning, and authority in execution. People who are disciplined early do not need to dominate. Their clarity speaks for them. The day respects those who respect their mornings. When you show up to life already ordered, life responds with alignment. Opportunities appear clearer, timing improves, and decisions feel less forced. This is not coincidence. It is the natural outcome of inner authority expressed outwardly. Discipline creates a posture that attracts cooperation from circumstances. Without early discipline, even talent becomes unreliable. Skills fluctuate with mood, and potential remains inconsistent. Discipline stabilizes ability. It ensures that what you carry is available when it is needed. Authority grows where reliability exists. And reliability is born in routines practiced before excitement and motivation wear off. Each disciplined morning is a quiet investment. It may not produce immediate applause, but it accumulates strength. Over weeks, it builds confidence. Over months, it builds credibility. Over years, it builds influence. Authority is not granted suddenly. It is recognized gradually, and recognition follows those who have learned to master themselves early. The greatest battles of the day are rarely external. They are internal struggles with focus, fear, doubt, and fatigue. Discipline in the early hours prepares you for these battles before they arise. It arms you with clarity and steadiness. When challenges come, you are not searching for strength. You are deploying strength that was already cultivated. The early hours teach patience. They slow you down enough to think deeply and act wisely. In a fast-moving world, patience itself becomes authority. Those who are not rushed cannot be easily manipulated. Those who are not desperate cannot be easily controlled. Discipline removes desperation by replacing it with preparation. Every morning presents a choice between comfort and command. Comfort feels gentle but leads to weakness. Command feels demanding but leads to authority. The choice may seem small, but its effects are cumulative. The person you become by evening is shaped by the discipline you practiced at dawn. Discipline early does not eliminate difficulty, but it transforms how difficulty is handled. Problems become tasks instead of threats. Delays become adjustments instead of frustrations. Opposition becomes feedback instead of defeat. This posture is authority in motion, authority that does not need to announce itself to be effective. The authority you desire in public is built in private. The strength you want under pressure is formed in peace. The confidence you seek in decisions is cultivated in quiet consistency. Discipline in the early hours is not about waking up early for its own sake. It is about placing yourself in a position of leadership over your own life before anything else tries to take that position. When discipline governs the beginning of your day, authority governs the rest of it. A prepared morning turns destiny from struggle into alignment because destiny responds more to structure than to desire. Many people want a better life, a clearer future, and meaningful progress, yet they approach each day without preparation, hoping that effort alone will correct disorder. But destiny is not impressed by intention without order. It flows in the direction of alignment, and alignment is established before movement begins. Preparation in the morning is an act of wisdom. It acknowledges that life is complex, that demands are unpredictable, and that clarity must be secured before engagement. When the morning is prepared, the mind is settled, the emotions are stabilized, and the spirit is positioned to respond rather than react. Struggle often comes not because life is unfair, but because the inner world is unprepared for the weight it is carrying. Many people experience destiny as resistance because they encounter life without alignment. Their thoughts move in one direction, their actions in another, and their values in yet another. This internal division creates friction, and friction feels like struggle. A prepared morning brings these parts into agreement. It aligns thought, intention, and action before the day introduces complexity. Preparation creates direction. Without it, energy is scattered, and scattered energy feels like exhaustion. You can be busy all day and still feel unfulfilled because movement without alignment drains rather than builds. When the morning is prepared, energy is focused. Each action connects to purpose, and purpose removes the feeling of fighting against life. Struggle is often the symptom of disorder. When priorities are unclear, everything feels urgent. When values are undefined, decisions become stressful. When goals are vague, effort feels wasted. Morning preparation addresses these issues at the root. It clarifies what matters, what can wait, and what must be pursued. This clarity transforms destiny from a battlefield into a pathway. A prepared morning also shapes perception. You do not see opportunities and obstacles the same way when your mind is settled. Preparation sharpens discernment. You begin to recognize what aligns with your direction and what distracts from it. This discernment saves time and preserves strength. Many struggles are unnecessary battles fought against things that were never meant to be engaged. Alignment does not remove challenges, it changes how they are experienced. When you are aligned internally, challenges become adjustments rather than threats. You do not panic when plans change because your sense of direction is secure. The struggle of uncertainty gives way to the confidence of purpose. This shift begins with preparation before the day unfolds. Destiny unfolds through daily decisions, not sudden events. Each morning offers the opportunity to recalibrate, to realign, to reset focus. Without preparation, small misalignments accumulate until life feels heavy and confusing. With preparation, small corrections are made early, preventing larger problems later. Alignment is maintained through consistency, not intensity. Many people associate preparation with rigidity, but true preparation creates flexibility. When you are aligned, you can adapt without losing direction. You can respond to change without abandoning purpose. Struggle comes when change forces you to improvise without clarity. Preparation gives you a stable center from which to adjust. A prepared morning establishes leadership over the self. It is a declaration that circumstances will not dictate identity. When you prepare, you choose how you will show up before anything tries to define you. This self-leadership removes the inner conflict that makes destiny feel like a fight. Peace replaces pressure, and confidence replaces anxiety. Alignment also affects how you relate to others. When your morning is prepared, you are less reactive, less defensive, and more intentional. Relationships improve because you are not carrying internal chaos into external interactions. Many conflicts that feel like destiny resisting you are actually the result of misalignment expressed through impatience and misunderstanding. Preparation in the morning protects vision. Without it, vision becomes blurred by immediate demands. You begin to trade long-term purpose for short-term relief. This trade creates regret, which deepens the sense of struggle. A prepared morning keeps the future in view while engaging the present. It reminds you why you are doing what you are doing. Alignment also brings efficiency. When actions are connected to purpose, less energy is wasted. You stop overthinking, second guessing, and hesitating. Decisions become simpler because they are measured against alignment rather than emotion. This efficiency makes progress feel natural instead of forced. Struggle often feels personal, as though destiny is opposing you, but many times destiny is simply waiting for alignment. When preparation is lacking, even good opportunities feel heavy. When preparation is present, even difficult seasons carry meaning. Alignment gives context to hardship, and context reduces frustration. A prepared morning trains patience. It slows you down enough to think clearly before acting. Many struggles are the result of haste, decisions made under pressure without reflection. Preparation creates space between impulse and action. That space is where wisdom operates. Alignment is sustained by daily attention. It is not achieved once and maintained automatically. Each morning is a chance to renew focus and restore order. Without this renewal, drift sets in. Drift is subtle and gradual, and it often goes unnoticed until struggle becomes the norm. Preparation counters drift by intentionally returning to center. Destiny responds to consistency. Sporadic preparation produces temporary relief, but consistent preparation produces lasting alignment. Over time, the cumulative effect becomes visible as stability, progress, and fulfillment. Life begins to feel less like resistance and more like cooperation. A prepared morning also strengthens resilience. When you start the day aligned, setbacks do not destabilize you as easily. You recover faster because your foundation is firm. Struggle loses its emotional intensity because it is no longer interpreted as failure, but as feedback. Alignment brings coherence to life. Different areas begin to support rather than compete with each other. Work, relationships, growth, and rest find balance. This coherence removes the feeling of being pulled in multiple directions. Destiny feels purposeful rather than overwhelming. Many people search for alignment through major life changes, believing that a new environment or opportunity will remove struggle. But alignment is internal before it is external. Without preparation, new situations reproduce old patterns. A prepared morning changes the pattern at its source. Preparation also cultivates gratitude. When you begin the day intentionally, you recognize progress instead of focusing only on problems. Gratitude shifts perception from lack to potential. This shift energizes rather than drains, making the journey feel sustainable. Destiny is not a distant event, it is the accumulation of aligned days. Each prepared morning contributes to this accumulation. Each unprepared morning introduces friction. Over time, the difference becomes significant. What once felt like constant struggle slowly transforms into steady movement. Alignment allows you to trust the process. When you know your day began with preparation, you are less anxious about outcomes. You focus on faithful action rather than constant worry. This trust brings peace, and peace enhances performance. A prepared morning is not about perfection, it is about positioning. You may not control everything that happens, but you can control how you enter the day. That control shifts destiny from something you fight against to something you walk with. Struggle is reduced when direction is clear, when priorities are ordered, when energy is focused, when emotions are regulated, when actions are intentional, when perception is sharpened, when patience is practiced, when resilience is strengthened, when relationships are handled with wisdom, when vision is protected, when consistency is maintained, when drift is corrected early, when context is applied to hardship, when gratitude reframes experience, when trust replaces anxiety, when life begins to feel aligned rather than opposed, all because the day was prepared before it began.